we're going to start making the housing for our lights. So we're going to go back to our Blender file and we're going to go to the first layer. If you downloaded the starter file, you're going to have this outline just as I have here, and you're just going to duplicate it. You're going to select it with right click and then do Shift D to duplicate and right click to cancel, M to move it to a new layer and move it to the second layer. Then we're going to go to the second layer just by left clicking on it, and we're going to tab into edit mode. We're going to do A twice to select everything. I'm actually going to do the right side, or this side light, the passenger side light. So I'm going to switch this to the 3D cursor, and we're going to center this on the Blender world by doing Shift S, cursor to center. And we're going to mirror this by doing S, X, and then -1 and pressing enter. And usually when you do that, it's a good idea to recalculate the normals. So we're going to do Control N to recalculate the normals. And we're going to go back to vertex select. We're also going to switch this back to median point. And in order to make this relatively the same, or the correct scale as our lights, we're going to do S and then 10 and press enter. So we're going to scale it up by a factor of 10. And we're going to alt right click on this outer edge. We don't need this really, we're just interested in this inner edge loop. So we're going to do delete and choose vertices, so we have this. You will have to switch to edge select and then select these two edges, do delete and choose edges, just to get rid of those extra faces that we don't need. We're also going to want to modify this shape a little bit, so if you go to front view, you just want to make sure that you have a nice curve throughout the whole thing, and same from side view, just modify the curve until you like it. One thing I wanted to change is kind of how this is a little wavy, like it kind of goes in a little and then out a little. Then this curve right here wasn't really made the best by me, so you're just going to want to adjust it until it has a nice smooth transition throughout the whole thing. And you can do the same with this shape. You can see that this kind of comes up a little, then goes back down. So if you want to, you can just adjust these slightly until it has a nice smooth transition as well. The goal here is just to make any changes that you feel are necessary to the shape of this before we actually start creating everything else that's supposed to be behind it. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to do Control R, we're going to left click and then do G twice and slide this down. And we're going to use this as part of our starting piece, so we're going to have these three vertices we're going to use. And then up here at the top, we're going to take this vertex and do G twice and slide it down slightly. Then we're going to do Control R, left click, and just put an extra vertex here. And we want to select these three vertices, so this one and these two, skip the last two over here. And then we're going to select the three vertices down here too, so these three right there. And we're going to do Shift and Q to bridge edge loops. If you don't have that, go to Mesh, Edges, and Bridge Edge Loops right here. To set up the hotkey, just right click and it'll say Add Shortcut. Hover your mouse over this area and do Shift and Q if you want it to be Shift and Q. So now what we want to do is have an edge loop for each one of these vertices. So it looks like we have 5 vertices, so we're going to do Control R, mouse wheel up until it says number of cuts 5. Then you're just going to left click, right click. And at this point we're just going to alt right click and just do Q to edge slide. And kind of just match these up with these. And just do the same thing for all these, just alt right click and then Q to edge slide. Once that's done, you're going to basically go to the side view sort of and just bring it up and kind of bring it over into position, so that it matches up nicer with each vertex. I'm going to change the shape of this now. I'm going to just kind of curve this a little bit out and adjust the shape of any of these as you feel necessary. Once you're done with that, we're going to Alt right click, we're going to do E to extrude, right click to cancel, and we're just going to bring this back slightly on the Y axis. Then we're going to do E to extrude, right click to cancel, and bring it over on the Y axis. And then we're going to Alt right click on this other edge, we're going to do E to extrude, right click to cancel, and bring it back on the Y axis. Then we're going to do A twice and Control N to recalculate the normals. So you should now have this. We're going to tab into edit mode. We're going to do Alt right click, Shift D to duplicate, right click to cancel, F to make a face, and just bring this back slightly. Then we're going to do I to inset and do a small inset. Then we're going to switch to face select. And we're going to select this face here, do delete and choose faces. Go back to vertex select this vertex. We're going to bring it over on the x-axis. And we're going to bring it forward a bit on the y-axis. Then we're going to go to the top here and we're going to do Control R, left click and bring this up. Then we're going to take this vertex and shift select this one and Alt M at last. So this is the vertex that's part of this new piece that we duplicated, and we're merging it back to the original piece. And we're going to do the same here with this vertex. Just select it, shift select this one, Alt M at last. We're going to change the curvature of this a bit to make it look a bit nicer. So we're going to do 1 for front view and Z for wireframe if you need to. And you just want to make sure you get both of the vertices on this inner part or this outer part, because we do have 2 vertices now. So we're just going to adjust these and try to get a shape that we like a bit better. Kind of happy with that. And then once you do that, you're going to want to check your vertices here and see if you need to adjust them on the y-axis at all, because we did move them around on some of the other axes there. So just make sure you're adjusting these to what you need them to be. Then we're going to take these vertices here, so we're going to select this one and then all these as well. And again, in front view, by pressing 1 on the number pad, you're just going to move these out some by pressing G. We're also going to select this vertex and then hold Control and select this vertex. And we're going to do Q and just slide this in slightly to make it a bit skinnier, so it has a transition from skinnier to a bit bigger. Now we're going to select this vertex, hold Control and select this vertex. We want to pull these forward so that they're kind of sticking out, so it's angling backwards instead of the other way that it was. So we're just going to adjust these as well to keep a nice curvature to this. Then we're going to do Control R, we're going to left click and drag this in. We're going to take these vertices again, so these right here, and we're going to pull these out further than the other ones so that we get kind of this look to it. And I'm going to readjust these again. We're going to do Control R again, and we're just going to left click and bring it in slightly. This one we want to be pulled out a bit further again, so we want to select these just as we've been doing and just bring it out until it's kind of flatter in that area. And I actually want to bring some of these back, so I'm going to take these and bring these back slightly so it kind of has a rounded shape at the edge. Then we're going to take these back ones, so just select one, hold Control, select the rest. We're just going to bring these back on the y-axis. And I'm going to bring this one by itself back to keep a nice curvature here, and possibly just adjust this one too. We're going to do Control R, we're going to left click and then press E and then F to make sure the red dot's on this side, and just bring this in nice and close so you have just a little bit of space there. Then we're going to add another loop cut. We're just going to do Control R, left click, right click. These vertices here we're going to move in some, so we're going to select these. You're going to leave the top one there for now, and we're just going to drag it in a bit on the x-axis because it does have a bit of inward curvature just like this. And we're going to bring this one in slightly, but not as much as these other two, because this is where it's going to start transitioning back towards being the flat part, just like it was over there. Then we're going to do Control R, we're going to left click and drag this up. We're going to do E to make sure the red dot's up here, and we're just going to bring this up Then we're going to do Control R again. We're going to bring it up here. I'm actually going to bring it a little closer with Q, and then I'm going to Alt right click here and do the same, just bring it a little closer with Q. It actually looks like I messed this part up because these are actually supposed to just be a flat surface right here. So I'm going to try to fix that real quick. So we're going to select this vertex, hold Control, select this one, Alt M at last. That'll just make this perfectly flat from this vertex to this vertex. And we'll do the same here. Select all these, Alt M at last. And we're going to go to Edge Select. And we're going to select all these edges except for the outer ones. And we're just going to do Delete and Dissolve Edges so that we don't have any edges connecting up to there. And do the same up here. Just delete and dissolve edges. This one doesn't want to delete, so we're just going to delete it by doing delete and choosing edges. And do the same here, just delete it. Then we're going to do Control R. We're going to bring this pretty close to meet up with the one that's down there. We're going to do Control R here and do the same to meet up with the one that's down there. And we'll do Control R again, just left click, right click there. Control R, mouse wheel up twice, so you have 3 cuts, and do left click, right click. Now we're just going to have to fill stuff in, so we're going to select these two and just press F a bunch of times. For whatever reason, you get this weird triangle at this point, so you just have to select these 4 and then press F, and then select these 2 and press F. Then we need to go down here and do the same thing, fill this in. So we're just going to go to Face Select, select this, and do Delete and choose Faces. Go to Edge Select, select this edge, and just press F a bunch of times. And that will fix that. We're going to switch to Vertex Select, and we're actually just going to make sure we don't have any duplicate vertices here. So we're just going to select the vertex, B to Box Select, and Wireframe. Do W and just remove doubles. For me, it just removed 2 vertices. It's probably why we had a problem making a quad over here. So just make sure you do that so you don't have any duplicate vertices. Then we're going to select this vertex, so it's actually the 3rd one from the left here. And we're going to bring it back on the Y-axis and down on the Z-axis. Just a little bit to give it that inward look, which kind of meets up with the inward look that's right here with this set of edges. That's the one that meets up with it. Just to make sure that it's kind of, going at inward, and then it finally meets up here. Then what we can do is switch to Face Select. We actually can get rid of this face, so just select it, delete it, and choose Faces. Then you're going to want to press A and then do Control N to recalculate the normals. It may not properly recalculate the normals on this piece, so if you want to do that, you're going to have to just go up here, select this face, and press H to hide it. Then select one of these faces, do Control L, and then go to Match Normals and Flip Normals. And then you can do Alt H to unhide this, and you should have everything with the correct normals now. So this is what we have for now, and we're just going to save it by going to File and Save. Thank you to our awesome Patreon supporters. If you'd like to become a Patreon supporter yourself, head on over to patreon.com/StephenBrooks. Thank you for your support.